hello. So we can start. I also start the recording. So welcome on this day number 3 of our training Youth on Air. So as you probably know from our agenda for today, we will have 2 sessions as usual, from 4 till 7, with a short break in between. The first session is practically going to be a continuation from the previous training day from the last week, carried out by Tamara and led by Tamara. I saw her session plan. It's going to be very interesting with a lot of practice and continuing the story about how to develop a script and some nice tips and tricks about organizing interviews and other kind of broadcasting. So for sure it's going to be very interesting in the first 1 hour and a half. And then we have, as I said, a short break, and we're going to continue with Sino. And going to speak a little bit more about production skills, about recording, editing. So again, there's something very practical, which I think is going to be very useful for the next phases of this project implementation, especially when we speak about follow-up and making this broadcast of 1 hour that's going to last for 1 hour in each of the countries, a series of broadcasts. So I'm sure that these tips and tricks would be very useful for this preparation. So as usual, please be free to ask any questions, either in chat or unmute yourself at some point. We will have some group work, but also some individual work, screening. So I think it's going to be very practical. And please make any notes that you would like to ask, or anything that you consider you could also contribute to the rest of the group. So I don't want to waste any more of your time. I will pass the floor to Tamara, and then we can continue with her session.
Hello. I hope that you're well, that everybody's fine wherever you are. I hope that you don't have the weather that we have in Brussels, meaning Mordor, and that things are okay with you. You can probably see that there's a new face. His name is Ismail, and I will ask Ismail actually to present himself because he joined today, and I don't know, maybe he will be joining the rest of the sessions because he's actually already doing a podcast. He already did one. Ismail, maybe you can just very briefly present yourself so that people know who you are and, these kind of things.
Okay, sure. So hello, everyone. I'm Ismail. So I've been living in Brussels now for 10 years. And I've been working also for the past 2 years with Tamara in YU. And also I've been doing some work with Igor. And so I started the podcast, and Tamara asked me if I wanted to join and learn a bit about different things I could especially get better at, because it's not always easy. I'm really bad with mics and scripts and all of that. So I think we can all learn something. And that's why I'm here, basically, to try and see a bit and learn some things on how I can get better at it or gain some new skills.
Well, perfect. I hope that all of you will have a chance, to learn something new and to get, let's say, at least inspired. Because I think I mentioned, Ismail, that all of you will be actually doing your own radio broadcast or podcast. So I'm really hoping that this and further sessions are going to be very useful for you. So very briefly, and then we'll just go right at it. Today, what we will be doing, it will be some radio formats. So I'll be telling you a bit about Vox Populi, as you would say it in English, and the rest of us would say Populi, probably. Then we'll talk about interview format and how to make a good interview. And this is where we will be getting into groups, working a bit on, what kind of interview you would like to have, write down some questions. After that, we'll be telling a bit how to develop your own story. And you'll be working in the same groups as with the groups, as in the group where you will be kind of preparing the questions for the interview. So get ready for some group work. And after that, again, we have a guest today. I invited a friend of mine. His name is Marcio Barcelos. So Igor, please, when you see somebody joining, please let him in. because Marcio is director of podcast festival that he's organizing in Portugal. And also he has his own podcast. So one thing that I hope that you will get again to ask different questions, and please do ask questions, because he will be telling you, for example, what to avoid when you're preparing your own podcasts, how to develop it and so on. And he's quite an interesting person, so I hope that you're gonna like the conversation with him. After that, we'll be talking about, a moment when you're about to go on air. After that, we'll be talking about the moment when you're on air, and then if something goes wrong. So these are, let's say, the segments that we have today for our session. So I will start sharing my screen, I guess. 1 second. Here we are. So we are talking about, again, how to become a radio star or a podcast star. Don't forget that I'm speaking mostly from my radio experience. So I don't have a lot of, let's say, background in developing podcasts, but that's something that, Marcio will be telling us definitely about, just like Andrea last week. And this is the moment when I ask you, how are you and how was your homework? Did any of you manage to do something about it? I cannot see all of you. Wait 1 second.
Julia said a bit.
Would anybody like to share? Did you at least have a moment to think about it? What would you like to do for your podcasts? Yeah, anybody has any idea? Please do share. Or we are having a koala moment. Yes, please. Shukran, you would like to share, right? But you need to unmute yourself if I see.
Yes. Yes. So I did something. I
Okay.
made a script for
Perfect.
60 minutes. Even I counted every single second. And I also recorded myself for 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I think I did it.
Wow, perfect. And how was it for you? What was, maybe you can tell us just very briefly about your script. What is it about?
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's about, I was thinking doing on my own, inviting a guest in my studio, and then proceeding some calls from teenagers or people who are seeking help. And I imagined something.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I can share it and you will learn more about it.
That would be great. And if you do want to share your homework, please do that. I think that would be really, really great for everybody to hear actually what you did. But maybe that's something that you can maybe further develop in your group when we will be talking about how to make an interview. I don't know if you already foreseen some questions for your guests.
Yes, I did.
Ah, perfect. Well, then you're going to have an advantage when we will be doing some group work. And I hope that the rest of you had a chance actually to think about stuff that you would like to do, because if you haven't, then that's something that we will be doing today. And yeah, this will be, I would also say that it would be really great if you think about actually topics that you will be also developing and recording as part of the project, because then it's going to be much more easier for you. And maybe it would be good just to again go straight to it and present you some of the formats that I've selected for you today. And these are Vox Populi and interview. And why did I select these? Because maybe for your podcast or broadcast in the beginning, it's not going to be so relevant to go into, for example, storytelling, or to go into panel discussions and so on, or to develop podcasts that have that are actually commentaries on things that are happening around us. In any case, these are a bit more difficult formats, especially to make a comment on the current situation or analysis. But of course, if you're up for it, I think it's also a good exercise for actually writing something and then trying to present it to others. But these two, as Vox Populi and interview, are something that you can very easily integrate into your podcast, and that is going to be very useful. Plus, it's going to give a certain dynamic to your podcast or to your broadcast, depending if you're doing it live or you're recording it. But we're going to talk about that later as well. So, Vox Populi, I don't know if you ever saw something like that in the it's done in the TV as well or in radio. So basically you go out and you interview people about a certain topic. And what is it? It actually means voice of the people, but actually in journalism, those are short interviews with people in the streets. So usually when you're a beginner, what your editors do, they tell you, okay, go to the market and ask about price of tomato, you know. Obviously I did that. So this is why I'm also giving that kind of example. And then you go and ask people about, I don't know, different issues that they're facing in communities, or what they think about whatever you can think of. What do they think about new policy on parking in your street? Or what do you think about new song of, I don't know, any band that you can think of? These are things that you can actually ask people in these kind of short interviews. And why am I presenting this to you? Because it can be a really, really great intro for your story. That's one thing. And everybody likes to hear a real life story first, to be able to identify or at least to understand the context. And then also to base your interview with the guest, for example, on the opinions that you received through these short interviews. So this is why it's actually very useful to do these kind of interviews. These are simple things, basically. They're not very complicated. And what I'm about to tell you when it comes to technical things that don't go, I hope, into Sino's presentation later on, that is related to audio and how to actually use the programs to record. But it is related to something that when you're in the street or when you're doing also interviews outside, this is something that you need to be really careful about. So I will be giving you some also technical aspects, but also how to prepare yourself for something like this. So basically, it's a short survey. Oh, I went too far. So how do you do it? You prepare your questions in the beginning. So if you want to ask about the new policies related to parking, or I don't know, the new series on Netflix, for example, you do need to prepare questions. And what's important is that you prepare questions that are open-ended questions. So questions like, did you like it? Which means that people can answer yes or no. Are closed questions, and these are questions that really are not going to give you anything, interesting, anything juicy. So you're going to end up with yes, no, maybe. So what's important is that you ask questions. Did you see? Or have you heard, or did you see this and this? And how did you like it? That's something that is actually a good way to start. And then you let people, talk about it. You also need to be prepared that you might have follow-up questions. Why? Because you might hear something that is very interesting that people are saying, but that you didn't foresee in your questions. So my suggestion to you is always be ready, always have some questions in mind, make them open-ended questions, and then if you hear something, so always listen to the person that you're speaking with. Why I'm saying this? Because we are all distracted with different things, and we tend to, think about 10 different things at the same time, or it could be only me. But you kind of get lost, and then if you're not following what the person is saying, it's going to be very difficult to see if what you have is actually worth putting on air later on. So that's something that you also, this is why you really need to be careful and listen. But also, if you hear something that is very interesting, you can follow up on that, even if you didn't plan that question, because with that kind of question, you're going to get, as I said, a bit more interesting details. Some more very important things. Don't talk over the person that you're speaking with. And that's something that I will be also repeating during the interview. So I've noticed last time when we were speaking, and when the person that was our guest, Andrea, was speaking, that I started doing, yeah, that, no, don't do that. So what I did, I muted myself, and then I continued doing that for myself. But if you would be in a live broadcast, or if you're recording your podcast, you really need to control yourself not to do that. Why? Because you will not be able to use that recording. It's going to be useless, because nobody wants to hear recording in which you're saying, yeah. So these kind of things always avoid, and I'll repeat that when we are talking about interview. So control yourself in that sense. That's something that is very important. Take information about the person that you're interviewing, if possible. You can also take a contact if you think that you might need that person later on for further work, not for your private matters. Okay, even that, we don't need to know about that. And take name of the person, age, or whatever you think that might be relevant, because then you can start your broadcast, your show, your podcast with, well, as Ismail from Brussels, who is of age, told me yesterday, he believes that this and this, but let's hear from Ismail, for example. You know, and this is something that you can do, and this is how you can make an intro to the story that you're doing. Don't be afraid to ask if you didn't understand something, because if you didn't understand at that moment, the people who will be listening will also not understand. And if you think that it's relevant, ask people, okay, but is there anything that you would like to add on that? And that's a bit typical, but sometimes it can be really useful for you. And that's something about the content of this format called Vox Populi. Do you maybe have any questions at this stage? I'm trying to see you all. Okay, I guess not. And I'm going to tell you a bit about technical aspect. So the mic that you see actually on the screen, and I don't know what Sinisha thinks about that, but I've been actually doing a lot of interviews with exactly this kind of microphone. I was going to press conferences, I was interviewing people. Why? Because this apparently at that point, so it's been some time, okay, was a very quality mic, and you can actually buy it online, because I was looking for it yesterday. But I'm not telling you to do that. What I want to tell you, whatever equipment you have, use it. And I believe that he will also tell you later that it's really important to have a microphone, because otherwise, maybe with nowadays with the mobile phones and so on, it's not that easy, you know, to move around the phone, you know, and put it in person's face. But also it depends what kind of quality of phone you have. In the end, don't be embarrassed when it comes to your equipment. It's not about how expensive it is. It's about what kind of quality of sound it gives you. And that's something that is very, very important. So don't think that you're not equipped to do these kind of things or to interview people. You are, and that's perfectly fine. But do listen to him when he will be telling you about equipment and how to record things, because I'm very much sure that he knows much better than I do. So when you're doing some technical aspects, and this also relates to the interview, pay attention on how you're going to place the microphone. There needs to be, let's say, your fist distance from the microphone and the person, because you don't want that person to eat your microphone. Also, before, what was happening, and it's still with different kind of equipment, there are different sounds that make p and b and stuff like that. that you might need to take care of because they make very breaking sound, and then it's really annoying. Wear your headphones exactly to hear these kind of things. So when you're recording, always have your headphones on, because you will be actually hearing what's happening, and you will be able also to react. However, that will not give any kind of assurance that you're recording. So the last one here in the slide, which says check the levels on your recorder, is super important. Because if you don't check that, it might just happen that you didn't record anything. And that happened to me once, of course. I was interviewing a person that just won an Olympic medal in, I'm not really sure what was the discipline. I found her somewhere, I was very excited, like, oh, okay, but would you like to give me an interview? She said, yeah, of course. And I put the recorder on and everything was fine. I didn't wear my headphones. I didn't check my levels. And when I wanted to play it, there was only absolute silence. She was kind enough to give me another interview, but it's not the same, and of course I was embarrassed about that. So do check these kind of things. It's crucial because you might actually miss some really, really interesting things, which you will maybe hear, but you will not record. Avoid noisy places. That's very important. And then you will thank yourself later, because if you're next to a person or workers that are drilling something in the street, that will be the only sound that you will have, and your recording will be absolutely useless. But then we'll be speaking also about some other natural sounds that you might use actually in the locations, but they don't have to come while the person is speaking as well. And slate the tape. What that means? That means record the intro. So Tamara recording now for an interview with Igor about parking placements, for example. And that's it. And this is something that will be in the beginning of your tape. So you don't have to tape your recording, so that you actually don't need to figure out where and what and how did you record. So that's something that is very important for you. Do you have any questions regarding this at this stage? That's something that you will be probably speaking with Sino about later. So maybe no need to tell you a bit more about it, but it is your responsibility in the end to provide a good recording. And these are just some tips and tricks that are going to be very useful for you when you're doing some recordings. Okay, so now I'll be speaking very briefly about this. Why? Because that you will be doing an exercise. So think about, already start thinking for your broadcast or your podcast, who would you like to interview? Just keep in mind that maybe Queen Elizabeth might not be available on the day when you are. So just think of somebody that you would have an access to. What do you want to find out from that person? And what is your unique perspective on the subject? So meaning, if you're talking about something that is, like everyday news and everybody knows about it, why are you asking that person something that, we all already know? That's not going to make any kind of difference. So think about the perspective, think about your own angle. And that's something that is really important, because also that person that you're interviewing will also, let's say, be more interested to speak with you in the end of the day. So how to do a good interview? Prepare yourself, do your homework. We went a bit too far. It's really, really crucial that you know who are you talking to, what is that person's background, how is that, why is it relevant for whatever you are doing, and do have all these things in mind before you ask the person for the interview. Because if the person tells you but why are we actually talking about that, there is a very high chance that you will actually not get an interview. There are always people who also would like to do a promo or whatever they did. Is it a new album? Is it a new book? Is it a new policy that they're doing? But make sure that you also understand why you're doing the interview from the perspective of your own story. And also never ever manipulate the information that you're getting from people who you're interviewing, because it is about who you are. It's about your own accountability and credibility in front of your audience and in front of the people that you're interviewing. So always, always be true to the people that you're speaking to, and to yourself first and foremost. Now, other things that are very important for an interview: location. So if you want to interview, I don't know, for example, farmers, then maybe you want to actually be there in the farm and catch some interesting sounds. Not necessarily while you're talking to people, to the person that you're interviewing, but when you are actually doing some kind of backup or background, noise for your interview. And that's something that is also going to be very authentic. But if you think that it's still feasible that you do an interview with the person while, I don't know, if it's a farmer, while you can hear the cows in the background, that's perfectly fine. And if it's not disturbing for your for the listeners, that's even better. But if you want to do an interview with a rock star, you're not gonna do an interview with a rock star while there is a rehearsal of the band behind, because that's going to be super noisy. So make sure, if you want to kind of give a bit of atmosphere when you're preparing your broadcast, do record this rehearsal, because it's going to be interesting probably, but move in the case when you're actually doing an interview. So you need to make your own, it's kind of like a judgment, your own judgment, and kind of like everyday logic behind, are people actually going to be able to hear this? And again, I'm coming back to this silence is golden. So no, yeah, okay, while person is speaking, because nobody wants to hear that. And you're going to just ruin your recording, and that's going to be there for nothing. So do it, let's say, inside of yourself. And what is also very important, get the most of the person that you're interviewing. So ask, how did this happen? How did this start? Tell us a bit about, can you please explain? And these kind of questions. Don't go with the questions, so you have a new album. And the person was going to say, yeah, okay. Or like, I don't know, life of people in prison is hard. Yeah, you bet it is. Okay, and then what? You need to come up with like many follow-up questions. So have that in mind when you're developing actually questions. And the last thing, avoid editing. So there's no need for you to think about, okay, I'm going to cut this when we are editing. One thing is that maybe recording is a bit more authentic with all the, let's say, silence that you might get from the interviewee, so the person that you're speaking with, because sometimes it kind of also gives to the atmosphere. Maybe I don't know, the birds that you hear in the background were actually an added value to whatever you were doing, and stuff like that. So because if you think that every time when you ask a question and you go with a and what do you think about like this? That's something that, first of all, you should not be doing. So take out and practice that. Take out all the, and how about, how are you like today? I mean, like, how is the weather like today, and stuff like that, because people have, I'm not really sure what's the word in English for that. But people tend, especially if they're not ready or if they're a bit nervous, they tend to add words when they're speaking, or they add a lot of sometimes that's interesting, and then you and it kind of is an added value to the story and to your recording. So avoid editing of these kind of things. But if you're constantly doing that, you need to work on your speech, and you need to work on, you need to practice asking questions, because you don't sound smarter with these kind of things. Actually, it's on the contrary. You sound maybe unprepared. You sound as somebody who didn't really think through what you will be saying. And yeah, things like constantly saying like, and so on, are not cool at all. So once, fine. Every second word in your sentence, absolutely not. So these are the things that I have for you when it comes to doing a good interview. when it comes to doing Vox Populi. And these are things that always have in mind, and also very important when you're doing an interview and you potentially disagree with the person. Be always polite, or whatever it is, always remain polite. It's not whatever you're seeing in TV debates, because I think in radio debates it's a bit less, in my opinion. Constant arguments and talking over somebody, it's really rude, and it's also destroying your recording. Nobody wants to listen high-pitched voices, you know, in your broadcast. Nobody wants to hear you arguing, because, you know, don't forget that these people who are listening to you are maybe driving, you know, maybe also you are doing now something else and you hear my voice. You don't want to hear me banging around my desk, or I don't know, doing something, or screaming over a person that I'm speaking with, because you will want to change the frequency, most probably. But always be curious. That's the key of a good journalist, of a good podcast author. Always be curious, ask things. And don't think that your question is stupid. Your question is not stupid. It needs to be polite. You can always try to make an intro. And if you think that it might be something that is already well known, or that it's potentially crossing some lines, if you think that something is crossing some lines, prepare the person that you're speaking with before. Ask if it's okay to ask these kind of questions, especially if you want to work with groups or people who are, let's say, come from more vulnerable groups. I think that Georgia was mentioning last time that she said, like, okay, I would like to tell you a bit more about young queer people and so on. Ask them until which moment you can go with their stories and so on. Or people, I think Nicolina last time was also mentioning, speaking with people that are in prisons, or talking about life in prisons, something like that. Be aware that you need to prepare the person that you're speaking with. What are you going to talk about? What are you going to ask? You can be curious, but you cannot be rude. So that's for me when it comes to doing an interview, doing Vox Populi, and preparing your own broadcast. And Marcio is here actually. Hi, Marcio. Good to see you. You're muted. Still. No, but maybe Igor can unmute you for a second.
I will.
Okay, now.
It's okay now.
Yes, it is. Hi, Marcio. I think that we are a bit late. Do you mind if we do a short exercise now, and then we come back to you? Okay, well, thanks a lot. And I'm very happy to have you here with us today. I think it's going to be really interesting to hear from you. So what are we going to do now? We're going to go to mixed groups, and we will be preparing questions for an interview. Why? Because then later you can incorporate those questions into a story that we will be developing right after we speak with Marcio. So let's say we go to small groups, and you have 4 minutes to come up with the person that you want to interview and the questions that you want to ask that person. So be fast, because this will also be the basis for your story. So don't forget, so you will be coming up with an idea of who to interview, what are the questions, and later on you're going to develop a story around it. So you'll have some time for it. But now Igor is going to send you out to groups, and you'll have 4 minutes for it.
Okay, so we will have 3 groups, the 2 groups of 3 and 1 group of 4. And I will open the groups now. So please accept my invitation. Okay, so for you guys, I didn't invite you for the group, so you're staying here. And Tamara, if you want to, but I don't think so. In the 4 minutes, you will join the group for no.
No, I think
wait for them
fine,
here. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. So I will just stop the recording.
Yeah.
Just to say it's 10 in total, guys. My excuses.
Yeah.
A lot.
So it's 10 in total, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's feasible. That's fine. Oh, we have somebody missing. Guess it's one group.
Now, yeah, coming.
Perfect. Very good. Okay, I think that we're all here now. And welcome back. How was it? Was it difficult to decide? What were your choices? Maybe somebody would like to share an idea of who to interview. Anyone? Yeah, Georgia.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't decide. I didn't actually think of the person. It was Mariana who had somebody in mind that she wanted to interview because she's interested in talking to refugees who've settled in Europe, and she came up with this person called Sarah Mardini. Is that correct? Yeah. And so we decided who is both a refugee from Syria and also an activist supporting other refugees. So we kind of just observed that this was the kind of interview that could be quite serious and quite sensitive, and kind of coming back to what you were saying about understanding people's vulnerabilities and having a sensitivity to that. So we discussed how you'd definitely want to go through maybe some of the questions before you did the interview with her to make sure that she would be comfortable with the questions. And then some of the questions that we came up with were at what point did you decide to flee your country? I think the next one, can somebody else tag in for the next one, because I can't remember what the next one was.
Yeah, but it's perfectly fine. You can also speak about it more later, so don't worry. But you already have, let's say, more or less way to go and so on. Maybe this specific case, I would advise you to also carefully choose the words, not so that people don't. Yeah, sometimes people are vulnerable, and sensitive when it comes to these things. Maybe leave the country would be kind of more. But wouldn't make the person feel, let's say, well, maybe bad, maybe bring back some memories and so on. But that's really a great way to go. And Marcio, as you can see, there are some really serious topics discussed here. And there's also a cat here that is moving around in UK, so that's great. We also had a meme on a cat and interviewing a cat, so that's also a person definitely to interview. But now we're going to interview absolutely Marcio, who I know for a very long time, and you're muted now, so I cannot hear you. So I hope that's gonna. Yeah.
Sorry, that was me. Sorry, that was
now
me.
it's okay.
Now it's okay.
Yes. Sorry.
So,
yes.
Marcio also has a long background in youth work, but why I invited him today is because he is an author of his own podcast called Podcast Sobre Tudo. You will explain. I don't speak Portuguese very
It's
obviously.
okay.
Sorry. And he's also director of a festival called Podes that is going to happen very soon in November, but in Portuguese, if I'm not wrong. However, what's more important is that Marcio is a passionate listener also of podcasts, very obviously. And why he's here with us today is because I wanted to ask him, Marcio, how did you start? And what do you think now, after all this experience and being a director of a festival, what would you advise to these people here who are actually going to do their own podcasts or broadcasts?
Hi, everyone. Indeed, my name is Marcio. I'm Portuguese, and I've been listening to podcasts for a long, long time. I met Tamara traveling around Europe, and while I was traveling, that was mostly the main thing I consumed when I was traveling around, because it's the perfect companion for traveling and for not feeling completely bored and useless during a plane ride. And so I built a library of podcasts that I listened to over the years. And at some point, I decided that I also wanted to contribute, because this was twofold. I was very excited to be part of the community, but also at the time, Portugal did not really have a lot of known podcasts. We didn't have, let's say, community, and so I decided to contribute to it. I'll also address a little bit why people start podcasts and what you should think when you are doing that. But that was more or less my idea, and then I started thinking about what to do. And my podcast, just so you know, is I think there are a number of elements and topics that are very present in public debate, but that no one really knows what they're talking about. So I decided to start a podcast where I go and interview experts about specific topics, whether they're very trendy at the moment or because they are important and I felt that there should be more understanding about them. And sobretudo is a play on words because it's a word for an overcoat, because it's over, sobre, tudo, everything. But it's also a word that we use, which means about everything. And so each episode is a different topic, with a completely different expert. But I just ask them questions, and I want to learn about, I want to learn about gender identity or Bitcoin or universal basic income or Palestine or wine. So I just decide to ask them things about what I want to learn, and then I also discovered that other people wanted to learn as well. So the main motivation to create the festival was also related to my experience when I was developing my own festival, my own podcast. I realized that there was not a lot of discussion or exploration of what was going on. So when I wanted to see what was already happening in the Portuguese podcast sphere, I couldn't find information. So I decided to start kind of a project where I would share and I would promote other people's podcasts, so that when mine arrived, that would also be a little bit more animated and interesting to join. So that is mostly my introduction. Thank you, Tamara. But I was also asked, because one of the things that come with promoting podcasts, and especially creating a festival that includes awards, is that you listen to a lot of podcasts and you listen to a lot of bad podcasts as well. So what happens is Tamara asked me to kind of give you some things to think about if you eventually start thinking about your own projects. And I decided to come up with 10 things you should think about when you're planning your podcast. So hopefully this is useful. And of course, I think you'll have some time to ask questions at the end. Normally, if this was face-to-face, I would tell you to ask the questions while I'm speaking, but because it's Zoom, it's not the best. So I assume we can all just take notes and you can ask me questions afterwards, if that's okay. Let me just open my document. I'm not going to share because it's a Word document. I didn't have time to prepare anything fancy like Tamara did. So the first thing, first of all, as I said, I would say there are two main reasons for you to be involved to start a podcast. You either have something to say and you have a message and you want to get it through, and you choose podcasts as your mean, as you could do a YouTube channel or a blog or something, and you choose podcasts because for some reason that's what made sense for you. So that means you have the content and you're trying to see how to pass it along. Or actually, like I did, you really like podcasts, or you just discover them and you actually want to do a podcast because that's also something that you want to try. And then you think about your own format. And those are the two ways that normally everyone would fit. Of course, there's other ways, like someone asks you to do it and pay for it, but that's not our case yet. But so that's important. In any case, it's important that you always have in mind what you want to do and why you want to do it. And I will also mention that as I go through the different points. The first point I want to mention is, I would say that's partly what I did, is know a little bit your universe. Know what already exists. Know what's around your. It also helps that you kind of decide a little bit what is your universe. Are you doing a national podcast? Are you jumping into the international podcast scheme in English, and where everyone is fighting for a little bit of attention? Are you doing it for a specific community? That might even be smaller than national, but at the same time it might also be international, but for a specific community. It might also be a language group, so you can do a podcast in a certain language, which could be, again, regional, but you could also speak. In my case, I speak Portuguese. That could be for all Portuguese speaking in the world. So it's not a global, but it's international at the same time, even though it's not in English. So that's the kind of thing, because that shapes your universe, and that is the universe you should look into to see what already is there. First, to see that you're not duplicating anything, so to make sure that you have your own proposal, but also to understand whether there's something that actually you think should be there, and whether you can contribute to that. So knowing your universe and doing a little bit of research and understanding what's going on, partly will already be the ones that you listen to, because that also helps you give. Usually those are aligned with your own taste, so that, or with the things that you would be talking about. So that would be my first point. Know your universe. But the second one is, okay, so you decided that I'm going to do a podcast, and whether you already know what you want to say or not, think about it. Just think, sit down, maybe ask some friends to bounce some ideas and do some brainstorming, and think about what you want to do. So what do you want to say? Do you know what you want to say? Don't you know what you want to say? Is this something that matters to you? Are you doing it because it could be fun? Are you doing it because it's important? Are you doing it because it empowers a certain community, for example? Are you doing it so that a certain community can also be understood by another community? And are you the right person to do that job? Because of course there's also, are you the person? Is this something that you should be talking about? I mean, I'm a man. I'm not necessarily the best person to talk about women's rights or specific issues affecting different communities in that I'm not a part of. It could be interesting, but then that would have to be thought and decided, and the format could be that. I mean, what if I am the one talking about that? But of course, be ready to deal with any backlash that you receive. So all of these questions: what's the tone? What is do you have objectives? Do you want to achieve those? How do you want to achieve those objectives? Just think about that. Think until you have a kind of an idea of the podcast, of what you might think is interesting, and what you think might be a good format. So after you think about your podcast and you reach some conclusions, my third point is think more, because that's usually where you reach a basic level of your podcast, where this is something, but then you need to actually think a little bit more to decide what is actually your contribution. If you're going to be a random person talking about random stuff with your friends, it's probably not going to be the best project out there, and there's a lot of podcasts about that. So think about, so you've reached a kind of a basic level of what you want to do. Just give it a bit of thought, check about your decisions. Do they make sense? Do they contradict each other? And I think thinking is very, very important. Also listen to a lot of things to make sure that this is something you want to do, or this is something you don't want to do. That's also important. So yeah, unfortunately, thinking is a big part of planning your podcast. Because yeah, just to make sure that you don't overthink it. I mean, thinking can sometimes also be editing whatever you've already decided, because it should be something that in your mind is clear, because every time then you do your a podcast episode, then you know why you're doing it. And by this time, you should have a clear idea in your mind, and you should be able to tell your neighbor while you see them on the elevator what exactly is your podcast about, because it's that clarity that will help you do your project. Linked to that as well, you should, number 4 is finding your voice. So who are you? It links to the other point about, are you the right person to actually be doing this project? Does it make sense? And of course, finding your voice is not about radio voices. This is nothing about that. A lot of popular podcasts have voices that are not especially nice. Let's put it like that. It's about your perspective, your contribution. I usually think there are 2 ways for a podcast to be popular, or at least to be successful. You can either be random people talking about special stuff, or special people talking about random stuff. Meaning that you could be a special person because you represent a community, or you're a celebrity, or you are someone who has an experience and knowledge about something. And then, so I don't know, you're scientists who just review science fiction movies. So you're a scientist, and you're the expert, and then you're talking about random stuff. Or you could be, I don't know, just a random group of people talking about specific stuff. So, for example, I don't know, you could have a podcast where you're reviewing a TV show. That's something specific, and you don't need to be specific to do that job and for it to be popular. Or, for example, a podcast about youth work. You don't have to have celebrities talking about youth work. The youth work itself is a topic that people will be listening to. Of course, if you're special and if you're talking about special stuff, that could also be interesting, even though that might also be too niche. But definitely, if you're a random group of people talking about random stuff, that will make it much harder to actually get some contribution out of your podcast. So yeah, think about your voice, think about who are you talking to, and what exactly are you saying, and how you are saying. That's very important. Number 5, we're halfway, is you can get technical, because you always need technicalities, but not too much, just enough for it to work. So of course, you'll need a microphone, you need probably some sort of recording, you'll need a place to put it online. But for example, these days, a smartphone with free apps already give you all of that. You can also find ways, you can find cheap microphones like the one I have. There are other ways to do it. So this is really not the main thing about the podcast. Don't worry about this. You will find solutions. There's a lot of people that can help you. So the technicality is important, because this is a technical thing. This is a digital file that people need to subscribe to. So there is some technical elements to it, but that is not your main problem or your main concern. So I usually tell people, just get technical, but just enough so that it works. Of course, then if you want to become big and professional, you can pay 5,000 euros for a microphone, but I don't think that's where you are right now. One important thing is that, okay, let's say that you've reached your podcast, you're doing it, and although the sound quality does not need to be perfect, you should always remember what you're doing. So you're always talking, and you're always assuming that someone is listening. Podcasts can be art, if you consider that, but it's not enough that you are expressing yourself through podcasts, because it always implies that someone on the other side is listening. So even though I say that don't get too concerned about technicalities, the opposite is also not true. You can't. You should be clear. You should be concise. You should respect the time of the people listening to you. You don't need to have perfect sound, but it helps that you find a place where that's not very noisy, that you speak to the microphone, that you pronounce well. There are very few podcasts that actually work without at least a minimal level of editing, for example, in the beginning and the end, or that rumbling that you said that really can be funny to you, but it's not really interesting, and it's just waste of time of your listener. So I mean, I can go a long time about these, but just the main point is just have in mind that you're talking and other people are spending their time listening to you. So respect that and give them at least a pleasant experience. It should not painful to listen to you. It should not be painful to listen to you. So that's something to think about. And then, of course, think about promotion, because you want to be listened. And once again, if you're not famous, I'm not sure if anyone is famous here. If you're not famous with a following already, it will be, you will have to reach out to people. So that means, for example, creating your own kind of a nice branding that represents what you mean. This means kind of the image around it, or the way you speak, the way you maybe you need a social media account that the podcast talks through. Be clear on the name of the podcast. That's also interesting, because a lot of people find podcasts through searching on the platforms. And then promote it. Find Facebook groups or events or stuff that your topic, wherever it is, your podcast will potentially find people interested. And so just think about this idea. It's all enough. It might be enough that you do it for your friends and family. And by the way, don't expect your friends and family to listen apart from the first and second episodes. They will only do it if they actually like it. And so just think about, at some point there needs to be some commercial perspective on this. And I don't mean necessarily money-wise, but I mean in terms of promotion and reaching people. You can do it for free. You can have your own, I don't know, groups where you bring people together and you kind of create a community around your around your podcast. But just think about ways, and be creative as well, to promote your podcast. Finally, a couple of last points, because at the end I wanted to reach 10, because maybe that's just a round number. Very important, manage your expectations. If you're doing this for money or to become famous, manage your expectations. It's very, I mean, eventually with time, especially if you're not famous already, you will get random anonymous persons sending you messages and thanking you for your podcast, and that's an amazing feeling. But you're not going to be a celebrity through your podcasts, and especially you're not really going to make money out of it. You'll be very lucky if you don't lose money out of it, depending on your level of investment. But this is not something that people do for money, at least in the first couple of, I don't know, months or years. It might be that in the future there are ways where you can make it, let's say, return in terms of funding, but that's really not the objective, and that's really should not be your mindset going through it. So don't put any unrealistic objectives and expectations on your podcast. It's not fair for you or the podcast. Find support. There's a lot of people that can help you. There's a lot of Facebook groups with podcasters from all over the world. There's online courses, online tutorials, free and paid, more specialist, more specific about specific topics. There's a lot of online for a lot of events, trainings, this kind of event. The people around you are also probably going to develop their own projects. So other podcasters, I made friends with podcasters just because we are sharing about microphones. So this is a kind of quite a close knit community, and everyone is very, very happy to help you. And you can always find Google is really your friend. You can find the solutions for the questions you have generally in Google, but you can also join, and Facebook groups are also very good for this. And finally, have fun. You really, really need to enjoy this, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and if you don't enjoy it, it's not going to last a long time, and you want it to last a little bit at least. So yeah, having fun, enjoying it, even if it's a very serious topic, having fun can mean different things. So enjoying it maybe be better, but at least find motivation to work on it, because it's coming from within, not from outside. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Marcio. This has been very useful. I also wrote down those things about random people talking about special things and so on. It was really, really valuable for me, although you broke some hearts and made the dreams go away when you said that it's actually an investment, maybe. But I think it's all about the passion, right?
Yes.
So speaking about passion, it's something that is or will be yours. So I will leave the floor now to you to ask Marcio questions about how and why and what. So shoot, who has a question for Marcio, if anyone?
Lorian?
Yeah, Lorian?
Hi, Marcio. I was just wondering, just what some of your favorite podcasts were, or what, ones that you think are doing a particularly good job of what you think a good podcast is, apart from your own.
Sure. Well, it's a little bit unfair because the ones I tend to enjoy are, well, apart from the Portuguese you can't really access to, the ones I really tend to enjoy do have conditions that most independent podcasts don't have, and we mean kind of networks, doing podcasts professionally, but at the same time it's a little bit like high fashion. You look at them and then that's kind of becomes your reference to do whatever you can do with your own means. So I don't know, projects like Radiolab or Reply All by Gimlet, very interesting things. I also really like funny podcasts because I don't know, I deal with serious stuff in my everyday job, so sometimes that's kind of an escape for what I do. There's a lot of podcasts by English comedians that are interesting. One of my favorite ones is called Off Menu, where two comedians ask people about their favorite food. There's I don't know, some very interesting news podcasts, maybe from NPR, and the New York Times also have some interesting ones. The Guardian has very nice informative podcasts, thematic podcasts. But yeah, I can think about some and maybe send Tamara, but for now it's also about you finding your own, because I know I have very good friends who just don't listen to these podcasts and listen to very completely different ones, and they all think that they are the best. There's apparently right now they say there's 1 million different podcasts in the world, at least in the English language. So there's a lot for a lot of people.
Thank you very much. Anybody else has a question for Marcio now? Yes, Georgia.
Hi. So
Hi.
I've only ever listened to podcasts on Spotify, and I'm not really aware of where to go in terms of the online platforms to find podcasts apart from Spotify, just because that's what I know. So I was wondering if you kind of know the best places that you feel the best online platforms are to release your podcasts into the world, with a balance of actually being listened to, but also not necessarily being put onto a streaming service that doesn't really pay very well or care very much about the artists and producers.
That's a very good point, because Spotify has been changing the industry very recently and very, very rapidly, because they've been investing a lot in podcasts, including kind of creating exclusive content that at some point we all expect will become paid. But the way the ecosystem works, and Spotify is only a part of that ecosystem, is that you have, let's say that you've recorded your podcast and you're very happy, and you have an MP3, that's what it is. It's an MP3 recording of something that you did. And so what happens is that you put that online. Some people do it in their own servers and their own website, but that's not something that I recommend, because it implies quite a lot of technical knowledge, and it's actually quite a pain in the ass, if I can say that, because you need to deal with all of that. But what exists is a couple of known platforms where you create you create a profile like you would for a blog, for example. So every time you have a new file, you put it there, and the people that subscribe to your podcast, they will receive it in their own platforms. And that happens with Spotify as well. If it's well connected, the one you receive, that's Spotify fetching from the original application and putting it available for you to listen. But in the same way that Spotify does that, other applications do that. So, for example, if you have an Apple phone, there's the podcast app, which was the first, and that's kind of what created the ecosystem. But also, you have even Google has their own app, so you can just go on your own. The best way to consume is you go on your own Apple or Google Store, Play, whatever, and you look for podcast apps. Then maybe you ask around. The default are okay, especially for beginners, but then you want to start creating playlists and stuff. And so there are other apps, usually independent. Some are free, some are paid. But the way it works is that you find something you like, you subscribe, and every time there's a new episode, it either notifies you or downloads it, and then you can listen to it online or on streaming. And so you don't actually put things on Spotify. Spotify is not a place where you can put your file. It's a place where you can actually take the link that you get from your host and put it on Spotify. That means that every time there's a new episode, it will fetch there. And there's a couple of known. There's also very useful articles comparing the different platforms. But so Buzzsprout, Podbean, Libsyn, these are different. Of course, you won't remember any of these, but it's this kind of known and famous and popular platforms, which then have different conditions, and most of them are paid, with the exception, for example, of Anchor, which is one app that allows you to do everything from the recording to the promotion and to the dissemination. But Anchor is also part of Spotify. So people say that if you're not paying for something, that means that you are the product. So that's partly potentially the issue with Anchor. But at least for experimental and initial projects, it doesn't hurt. You can use that. It's for free, and it's a good way to start.
Thank you so much. I guess that you got a lot of information, and thank you very, very much, Marcio, for joining us. It was a pleasure, as always. And I do really hope that you guys also got some ideas and so on. I'll be asking Marcio actually to send me the 10 points, because many of them were very interesting, even as bullet points, so that we can actually share with you when you will be preparing your own podcasts now, or broadcasts even, because I would say that all these things actually refer also to radio shows and broadcasts, depending how you will want to continue within the project. If you would like to record podcasts, or you would like to do a live radio broadcast. So thanks a lot, Marcio. We'll keep in touch. If you want, please stay with us, because the next thing that we will be talking about is when you're about to go on air. And I will share this with you now, because why am I sharing this? Because sometimes, people get this, it's called stage fright, or your at least heart starts beating very fast, because I don't know, depends on the person. No matter how much experience I had when I was working in the radio stations and doing different things, I always had this thing that I had to kind of focus on whatever I was doing and try to, prepare myself to calm down and to be calm when I'm doing something. Of course, there's something that goes with your experience. So something that will jump straight to will be actually when you're about to go on air. And here are some of the things that I'm giving you as tips and tricks. What is important, so that even if you're recording, that you sound prepared, and that actually it's as Marcia was saying, it's pleasant to listen to you. So first of all, you need to be relaxed, and that's something that is really important. So what you can do is to try to stretch your shoulders, stretch your arms, breathe deeply. If there are people who practice yoga or something similar, then this is something that where you will know what to do. But try to take deep breaths, try to relax, and really, really stretch, because you will feel much better and energized. Yes, Igor, that's the way. This is how you should be doing it. Make sure that you're awake and focused, and that doesn't mean drinking a lot of coffee. That's not the way. You need to be awake. You need to, if it's something that is early, or you just woke up and say, oh, I'm now gonna record something. No. Wake up, stretch, do whatever you need to be really awake. Take a walk, whatever makes you feel awake, and focus. So no looking at your phones or anything, watching TV while you're doing something, or just before that speaking with somebody. Whatever is going to distract you, and you know that it's going to distract you, or you will learn in the meantime. Trust me, don't do that. Keep your mouth and lips hydrated all the time. And I don't want to sound like a cosmetics commercial or something like that. Sorry, because it's all about, as I was saying last time, water. So no alcohol, drugs, or whatever you prefer want to use. Don't do that before you're recording. That's not the way to go. Also, don't drink Coca-Cola. Don't drink coffee before that. It's because it's going to make your lips dry and your mouth dry, and that's going to hear, because you're gonna sound. Where's my microphone? This is what people will be hearing, and that's not something that you want to hear. And also make sure that you sit properly. So sitting like this, or sitting like this, or whatever. You're not in a bar. You're not, in some whatever you can imagine, with your friends. You can be with your friends, but it also keeps the air going through your lungs, and also reaches your stomach. So this is something that will also make you sound better. And you don't want to sound, as we were saying last time, and you don't want to sound as if you don't have enough air in your lungs. So these are really, really important things. Before you go on air, before you start recording, do drink some water. And do what I was telling you, because it's going to be very practical. Even if you need to do a session, do these kind of things. It's going to energize you. And that's something that is really, really important for you. What you can also do, and that's something that I'm still doing, and I know that it's going to be super fun now for Igor, some of the things that I'll be doing, and he will be enjoying this. But you need to, what you can do to wake up and that you can pronounce words properly. And I don't know if Marcio, you are doing these kind of things, but when I would be doing morning shows, I really didn't want to sound like this, like I have cotton in my mouth. So you can massage your muscles and your jaw. And that's really literally what you need to do. Just relax it. Whatever happens, don't, put it, don't hurt yourself, but do that. Try to pronounce vowels several times in a row. A, A, U, because it's going to relax your muscles, and you will be able to pronounce, again, words properly. And then, as we were saying today and last time, pronunciation is really important. It's not about what kind of voice you have. You have a radio voice, but people need to be able to understand what you're saying. And another thing that you can do, you can put a pen between your lips and try to pronounce the text. Why? Because this is something that is going to help you exercise before going on air, and your muscles are going to be free. You will feel better. So, stretching, drinking a bit of water, making sure that you sit properly, massage, pronouncing whatever you want to try to pronounce, and doing this. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I had something that was really important to me, and I really didn't want to be, not really, I didn't want people not to be able to understand me. So I was actually doing this, and I know it's funny, but it's very practical and very useful. And you can do more exercises. You can do some tongue twisters. You can hum, like, you can do these kind of things. You can do tongue trill. You can do lip trill. And that's something like, stuff like that. Because it's going to, release you, because this is your tool. Your brain is the tool as well, but this is also your tool, because if these two are not connected, it's not going to, function well, or it's going to function well, but people are not going to be able to understand you. So in the end, it's not going to function well, right? And there are also different things that you can do. So try to pronounce things differently. Also do this, and this is my favorite that I figured out recently, this something that you kind of sound like a cat when a cat sees a bird, and sitting in a window or whatever. And, cat is making this kind of sounds usually. Make them too. You don't have to make them in front of anyone, but they do help you pronounce words better, and that's going to make your content also sound much better. And well, now you are on air, and what's important when you're on air, we spoke already about different things, how to prepare yourself, how to write a script. And unfortunately, today we are not going to prepare script together, but I'm quite sure that over the course of the training course, you'll have time to think about things. And I'll be also sending you the presentation so that you can try to do the exercise on your own, to incorporate Vox Populi, to incorporate questions for the interview, some intro, some music in between, maybe some sound effects and stuff like that. But what's more important is that you know that people will understand what you're saying. So if you start with sentences that are too long and you need to catch your breath during a sentence. So if you're reading something and all of a sudden you cannot speak anymore because you just lost your breath and you need to do this, first of all, people will hear that. And then second, it's not only that it's going to sound bad, but what was the point of that sentence, So make sure that sentences are short and keep it simple. All of us have some experience. I don't know, is it in youth work? Is it in project management? Is it in whatever you're doing in your life, or sound engineering? Be aware that people need to understand what you're talking about. Don't forget that radio and podcast are sightless mediums. So you cannot show things, but you need to be aware that people want to understand what you're saying. So if you're using some complex words that potentially, especially if it's in English and non-native speakers want to hear from you, maybe they will not be able to understand what you're trying to tell them. So whatever you're saying is going to kind of lose the meaning of whatever you're doing. And make sure that you don't repeat yourself. So if you start going in loops and you say, well, as I was telling you before, and then you say what you were saying before, and you say it again, and then you say it again, it will become repetitive. One thing is that if you do it live, that's a bit maybe different, but when you're recording a podcast, I would assume, even if I'm not doing them, that's something that can be very annoying. If you're repeating something, there must be a reason why you're doing that. And one last thing, when it comes to this, be yourself and connect. So people, as Marcio was saying, people don't need to listen to you. Your friends, your family, I mean, they will be listening to you maybe a bit and say, yeah, you did a great job. But later on, if you're not interesting, if you're not yourself, so don't be artificial, don't try to be somebody else, be yourself. Then people will be following you, people will be listening to you, because you will be winning them over. You need to be curious, don't forget that. You need to be polite, and you need to find a way to be interesting. And that is by being curious and being polite to yourself, first of all, but your listeners and people that you're bringing as guests to your podcast or to your show. And I think one last thing is things can go wrong. You can, especially if it's a live show, or you are recording something and then obviously you will have to repeat, you lose your breath. What happened to me is that I was running to a studio and I started reading and I lost my breath, and it was while I was reading the news. And yeah, while you're reading the news, you don't want to hear anybody saying, so that's something that you want to avoid. This is why you need to take things easily before you're recording or before you're going on air. But what's also something that is going to be very important to you when and if something goes wrong. If you lose your thought, don't try to further explain yourself and try to catch it. It's gone. It's not there. Just move on. People don't know what you wanted to say. You know what you wanted to say. And unless, as I did today, I told you, okay, we're going to do 2 exercises, and obviously maybe I should have thought that through and maybe not tell you, so you would not be expecting that second exercise. But you know, you are the one that is in control of the situation. Don't forget that. You are the one that knows what you are about to say and what you were planning to say. So don't catch that thought. It went away. You know, it's gone somewhere. If you start making sounds because you're thirsty, finish the sentence and take a sip of water. That's not a bad thing to do. It's a natural thing to do, and nobody's going to mind if you do that. And especially if it's a recording, you can cut that if you want. And whatever happens in whatever situation, don't panic. It simply happens. What I did when I was reading those news, and then I came to the moment when I did, you know, it happened. I didn't apologize, or I did wait for a moment to catch my breath without sound, and I continued. Or you can just say, I'm sorry, and then you continue, but don't explain yourself. These kind of things happen. If you feel that you need to explain yourself, then try to make it a joke. But sure, make sure, again, as Marcio was already mentioning, that they're good and they're funny. And be personal, don't overdo it, don't overshare, but have energy, have interesting stories, and show empathy to the people that you're speaking to, especially if you're planning to speak with some of the people that you already mentioned, such as, for example, refugees. Being a refugee is a very sensitive and personal thing, and it hurts people for a very long time. Especially to these people, be kind. And that's something that is very important. Ask them what kind of words to choose and so on. And again, if something goes wrong, it happens, don't panic, and make sure that you learn from that. And that's the last thing from my side today. I hope that it was interesting to you. It was a bit fast, but Sinisha will be sharing the presentation with you, and then you will also have my contact, so you can contact me directly. But maybe a last point from Marcio. Maybe Marcio, you can have something to add on whatever advices I was now sharing as a wise person in the group. We cannot hear you because you're muted.
Okay. See, this happens. So
yeah,
sorry.
Absolutely.
I think there's just to agree with everything that Tamara said, but mostly because I won't be here anymore. Just something to build on what she said. It comes from, rather than knowledge, it comes from experience. It is sometimes, especially when you prepare a text to read, there are 2 things to have in mind. Is that texts to read are not the same as texts to speak. So if you use inverted commas or if you use brackets, those things you will get lost if you try to actually convert what you're saying, but the text is not prepared for you to read it out loud. Those are not the same things. But also the main advice that I would give is to trust yourself. Remember that if you wrote your text, you know what it wants to say, because sometimes you just remove all of the attention from inside your head and put it on the text, and then you don't know what you're talking. And then if you get lost, just remember that you know what you are talking. So it might be that you just forget the text and go back to make sure that you say what you already know you want to say. And you could use the text to check if you lost any points. But a lot of times you just follow the lines because you want to say exactly word by word what you wrote. And then it becomes a mess because you don't really mean what you're saying. And so in general, trust in yourself and trust that, especially if you were the one preparing the text that you were reading now, you can go back to that because you already know what you're saying. So I think trust and confidence, I would like to add that to what you were saying, because all of that made sense. Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you very much, Marcio. And just last 3 words from my side. Practice, practice, practice. That's something that is very important. And this is how you will become a great radio star. And I'm really looking forward to listening to your podcasts or broadcasts. So thanks a lot, guys. Feel free to contact me. And Igor, I'm passing the floor to you now.
Thank you, Tamara, so much. Thank you, Marcy, so much. Really great presentation, great inputs from the experience. I mean, so many things I personally heard before, but now, I mean, I can say that it's a lot of great tips and tricks, really practical ones that could be applied from the very beginning of making our broadcast as a follow-up of this training course. So once again, thank you so much. If you have some more small questions or something, we will let you know. We're going to pass through Tamara to Marcio, or also like just contact you if we collect some questions. And of course, you're more than willing to join us anytime you want. Thank you so much, guys, for all of this help from your side and for the great inputs. As Tamara said, the presentation will be shared with all of you. We're going to send to Sino, and Sino, as usual, going to pass to all of you. But before we go to the break, Sino has something to announce, actually, to share some links, and then we'll have 15 minutes break to get some rest, and we'll come back for the next session. Sino?
Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Tamara. You're great. Thank you, Marcio. I just shared 2 links with you. One is to download the Reaper software because we are going to learn the software, how to edit and mix audio and how you can record yourself. And the first link is one sound effects pack, which will help you in order to make the task after the session with the Reaper. Is it okay? So if you can download it here, so we will not lose time in the session, because like you can see, yeah, 1.5 hours will be not enough, but it's not a problem. I mean, we can communicate, however, online. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Sino. So let's have 13 minutes break, so not 15. So let's come back at 5:50. So in 13 minutes, come back, please. You have a lot of stuff to share you more, and it's important to be on time. So take some rest and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. I'm not coming back, as you imagine. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Good luck. And yeah, you know how to reach me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Enjoy.
Thanks
Ciao.
again, Marcio.
Ciao,
Bye-bye.
Marcio.
Ciao. Thanks you,
Ciao.
Tamara. Ciao.
Bye.
Okay, people are easily coming back. So welcome back for the second session. So maybe we can wait, Sino, 1 2
Yeah, 1 or 2 minutes.
1 2 minutes, no problem. Some people are arriving. I'm checking the waiting room. But yeah, you know. Yeah. So it's Rabia together with us. So maybe just say hello from our side. If you want, Rabia, maybe to share something, to say a little bit about yourself, we can start with that, and then to pass the floor to Sino with his session.
Maybe later.
No problem, no problem. However you want, no problem. No pushing. Still waiting.
Is it everything okay with the downloading files and the software, guys?
Oh, right.
Yes. Cannot.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think you can start.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Sino. You know already. I will speak today about the audio recording, actually more specifically about what kind of equipment you can have, kind of budget equipment, and also what kind of microphones do exist. So if you have budget, it's always good. This session will be split in 2 parts. So in the first part, like I said, it will be about the equipment, about some tips that I will share how to record better, what you can use, and as well about the room treatment. Now, what you can do by yourself without buying anything in the room, so the room can sound much better. Yeah, because like we know, every room has kind of a noise and small echo, so you can do a lot of things, and I will stick with that a little bit later, so you will see what is everything possible to make. In the second part, we are going to speak about the Reaper software, so I will try actually to share the screen I will just show you now what you can do. So maybe you can follow me step by step, like I'm doing the things. It will be a little bit difficult with online, with Zoom. But for example, I take one screenshot, if you can see.
Yep.
Maybe you can make it half of the Zoom and half of the Reaper. I mean, it's not necessary that you need to follow me, and so you can maybe also write. But it's better from my experience that if you're clicking parallel with me, you will learn much more, and you will know. But however, I'll be here for every questions, and we will see. Once again, it will be excuse me. Once again, it will be learning basics of the software Reaper. So we will learn how to put a track, how we can edit the track, how we can make fade in, fade out, and so on. In order also how you can record yourself through the software. It's really easy. But we will see step by step. And I think that we will be a little bit later than 7 o'clock. I hope you don't mind. It will be not like half an hour later. So I will try that we will stop it on time. And that's why the first part I will go just briefly. And I think that if you have a specific questions, I mean, it's possible here to ask it, but also I will send my email. So please, in order that we will have more time for the software, you can write me anytime about everything which is connected with the equipment and as well about the software. Okay. I would like also to ask if somebody has experience with Reaper or with audio software here. Yes, I guessed it. I guessed it, Lauren. But did you work with the Reaper?
Yeah, I use it for work quite a lot.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if it's for you will be really interesting this. Of course, you can learn always new things because this will be like a basic editing. But you know, everybody has a different approach. So maybe I hope you will learn something extra today. Okay. So I will start. I will share I made one. I didn't make a PowerPoint, but I made like a large PDF file. So I can zoom it like this. Can you see everybody?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So what I did here, it's we will see. I will do the recommended budget for audio recording setup. This is actually for budget equipment. Actually, what we are using here in the studio, and it's quite good. Then we will see about what kind of microphones they are existing, what kind of accessories you can use, of course. Then I have some tips for you. And we will speak about the room treatments, what you can do in the room in order to avoid all this echo or noise and how you can make the sound even better. And then we will see here, I mean, you don't need also to write anything because I will share this PDF with you. And here you can see maybe when you will have the task with Reaper, you can come back to see the shortcuts that I'm going to say while I will explaining the Reaper software. Okay, so I will start with the budget audio setup. So of course, like Tamara, she mentioned already a lot of things. You need to have a microphone in order to have a great sound. You can do it with a smartphone. Actually, and I will come back later about the smartphone and what gadget you can use for the smartphone to sound even better and to avoid this p, t, or to avoid the wind. Because the wind, you cannot really, you can repair it in Reaper. We will speak also about noise reduction in Reaper. But the best thing is that the audio will be nicely recorded. There is nothing better than the nicely recorded audio. So here, when I will share this document with you, there are all links. So if you click, you go just to see the price approximately from Amazon. I think that all the links are from Amazon. And the first microphone is Shure 58. You will see later there are Shure 57 and 58, but for vocal, mostly of the people, and we here in the studio, we are using this microphone. It's a really great microphone, and it's reducing also a lot from your p, but still you need to, like Tamara said, you need to exercise a little bit or to try to record yourself as much as possible time so you can avoid unnecessarily sounds. Then really important is also microphone foam, which is reducing these unwanted sounds. This is like approximately, I think, $10. You will see and check the price. So you can mount it on the microphone. But also, what I wanted to say, this kind of phone, you can mount it on your smartphone. Yeah? Can you see me also now while I'm sharing? So you can see this is the smartphone. You can just put this thing, and if it's the last option, I mean, believe me, it can give you like really good results, because the smartphones nowadays, they have really good microphones built. But one tip, if you're recording with a smartphone, you need to put it on the airplane mode. And why is that? Because we have radio on our smartphones, and sometimes it can produce unnecessary noise that you cannot hear it, but after all, you can see that it was some noise. And also you have more battery if it's on the airplane mode. Second, if in order to connect your microphone to the laptop, you need to have an audio interface, they say it, so sound card. And this is like this budget sound card. And this is, if you click it, you can see it, the link. This is with 2 inputs, so you can put 2 microphones, and it's a really great sound card. I mean, of course, it's not professional, but if you are doing radio shows or podcast, or if you want to have an interview in your homemade studio, I recommend this sound card. It is also around $150. I'm speaking now in dollars, so it's not really expensive. The second thing that you need to have is the microphone desk stand, because also the microphones are really, I would say, I have the word in Netherlands, but not in English. They're really, they can hear every sound. If you touch them, it can be recorded. So, and if you have the stand, you can move with the stand, and you're avoiding these unnecessary sounds once again. In order to connect the microphone with the audio interface, with the sound cards, of course, you need a cable. In this case, this is XLR cable, which is also $3 or $4. You need to have speakers. I mean, you can have normal speakers, but this is like the most used. I don't know, Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and you can unmute yourself. But this is also what we are using, and they're really nice studio monitors. They're really quite good, and one speaker is $130 or something like that. Like Tamar also mentioned, headphones are really important, because sometimes without headphones you cannot hear the noise, but when you put the headphones, you can see that there is noise in the sound. One more time, don't be really afraid from small noise, because we will learn later on how we can reduce or make it gone, the noise in the software, with a couple of steps. But headphones is really important. There is also, if you click here, they're like the top best 5 headphones for radio. But still, if you don't have the budget, you can buy whatever headphones, and it's much better than without the headphones. What I'm using personally as well, this is this handy recorder. This is also not really cheap. This is version 5, but you can go also with version 4. They're like 200 or 250 bucks. But this is something great. This is recording really good stereo interviews and vocals, even instruments. You can plug in directly 2 microphones to this Zoom handy recorder. And you can put also SD cards, and you don't need anything else to record. So you're putting the SD card, you put the microphone, you can just go outside or inside and record the people. It's really handy, but again, it's not really necessary. And of course, you need a laptop or computer that you can connect all these things, the sound cards with the microphone, and so on and so on. Do you have questions here in this budget equipment? Okay, so also for if you have a question, please don't raise a hand. I cannot see. Just unmute, feel free to unmute yourself and say what you want to say. And you can interrupt me also all the time while I'm speaking. I will speak now with the microphones. Once again, Lauren, you can correct me. But one of the best podcast microphones, it's actually this Electro Voice RR20 broadcaster mic. It is a little bit expensive, I don't know now exactly, but it's like $300-400, and it's a little bit heavy. But if you want really to take one step further, I really advise you to buy one of these microphones. I mentioned already 57 and 58. Sure, they're the most used, especially the SM58. And this is doing the job quite good. But the thing is also with these microphones, especially with this broadcaster microphone, you need to know, and that's why you need to check and record yourself a couple of times. This microphone is really good, but you need to be really close to the microphone. If you make like this and you speak, or if you go a little bit further, you can see drastically changes in your audio. So you need to really also for the people, if you're going to interview, you need to repeat it a couple of times. And also don't be afraid if they are a little bit far from the microphone, you need to ask them to come back closer, and then you can cut it afterward, this saying of question that you asked to them. So don't forget always to check it a couple of times before you're going to put it on air. There is again a little bit more explanation about this, what is very interesting because it's XY stereo mic. You can see there are like two microphones next to each other, which is helping actually for really perfect stereo sound with the speakers. For example, if one speaker is from this side and you're from the other side, you can put the microphone in the middle, this handy recorder, and it will record a great audio. But one thing with this handy recorder, it is really, it feels like really all the touches. So if you put it on some table, you really don't need to touch the table or for sure not touching this microphone because it's like extremely loud and all these touching sounds, they will be also recorded. Sometimes it's maybe actually also good if you can mount it on kind of a stand, like this stand, and that this microphone will be in the air between you two. So this is the best scenario if you are using the hand recorder. I write it also about this USB mic, and this is also kind of a budget microphone because if you buy this Blue Yeti USB microphone, you don't need to have a sound card. You don't need to have audio interface. What means that you can just plug in with a USB cable to your computer and you're good to go. You can record it directly and then through Reaper, I will show you where you can change that to activate this microphone. And you're good to go. You don't need to have anything, these XLR cables or audio interface. But again, the quality is a little bit less, but still nowadays they're making with the technology, they're making better and better things. So this is also one thing that I'm also considering to buy because I'm teaching also the youngsters how to record, and this is $90. And I think that everybody who is interested into podcast or broadcast or something with the radio, we can afford this kind of microphone. Important thing to know for this microphone is that they have 3 polar patterns. So you don't need really to pay attention about these terms, polar patterns, but they're like these 3, cardioid, figure 8, and omnidirectional. So that means, for example, you have options on this microphone that you can click and choose between these 3. The first one is cardioid, and that is much more if you are speaking, if you're making voiceover, and if you're speaking alone, this is the best scenario because it's like you can see, it's just in one direction, recording you. The second is the best for 2 people, like also you can see it's like infinity from 2 sides, and it's also stereo. One guy is from the left side, the other one from the right. And the third one is omnidirectional, so it's actually recording everything in the room. So that means if you are with 3-4 people, it's also possible if they're sitting around the microphone, it is possible to be recorded. But once again, before you start, you need to see how close all the people needs to be to the microphone or how far, and so on and so on. So checking is always, because the audio, also I'm video expert, actually I'm expert in progress in audio. So it is also possible that I will not answer all of your questions directly, but of course I can answer you in certain things, but checking is always important. I put it this microphone, this is mostly for filmmakers, this is like a really good microphone. You can also, for example, if you are with a lot of people in the room, you can mount it on a stand and you can put it up in between everybody, so in the middle from everybody, and it's kind of directional microphone. So the quality of this microphone is really, really, really good, especially if you want to go outside to record somebody. You need to have, of course, another person who will keep the microphone steady above your heads. But there is also some gadget for this microphone. Again, the wind muffler is the name, but we will see it later. I think here, this thing, and it can record like great videos. But still, this is like around $200 or $300, and it's not really budget. But I just wanted to show you that you will know what kind of microphones there are. I'll show you with a smartphone that you can do this thing. With a smartphone, you can put this mousse or foam, however it's called. But also you can consider there's like $20 or $30 kind of microphones that you can plug it in directly in your smartphone. And you can give it to, like next to the chin for the interviewer, and you can receive also great audio. Still not the best like with all other microphones, but this is helping also a lot if you don't have budget. Okay, are there some questions here? Please free to unmute yourself.
Sorry, yeah, just a really quick one. I have a Zoom H1 handy recorder, which I absolutely love the sound. When I went to record the piece for our homework today, I was recording an interview, which I'd never used it for an interview before. Mm-hmm. And I was going kind of pointing towards myself, pointing towards the interviewee. And as you said, it picks up, you know, every touch, every time you move your hand, it picks up that sound. And I was wondering if you had any tips as to what I can use to prevent that as much as possible.
Are there two microphones upstairs? Because H1, are there two microphones?
Yeah, it's stereo. Yeah.
And is there some thing that you can mount it on some tripod?
It has like this holder, and it also has a mini tripod that you can attach to it as well. Yes. But because of where I was doing the interview, it was stood up, so I had to hold it because it was outside on a location. So obviously in the studio, I'd be able to put it on a tripod or put it on a stand and have it static. But when I'm, you know, out in various locations, I want to be able to hold it. So
of course, if it's not possible, the best scenario is that you can put it somewhere on some table or some bench, but if it's not possible, again, this kind of foam, if you put it down and if you touch the foam,
I see.
It need to be the foam, like it can be some tissue or I don't know.
Okay.
And
like a muffler. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And you will, of course, if you touch the plastic, you can hear it a lot.
Yeah.
But if you touch the foam, it will help a lot.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's a really good tip. Cheers.
You're welcome. Somebody else? Please unmute yourself. Okay, great. Microphone accessories. I mean, they are one of the thousands of accessories, but I choose this because we are using a couple of them. The first one is all-in-one package. The quality of the photo is not really good, but with all-in-one package, if you click, you can go to this and then you receive a stand for the microphone. Here you can see you're receiving pop shield, you're receiving this mousse, you're receiving everything. So which is necessary to have it in one studio. This thing here is actually better quality on the photo. Sorry for the quality. It's this one, but this is much more quality. And why is this important? Because you're not touching the microphone once again, and you can have it from one side to you. You can send it to the other guy who is speaking if you don't have two microphones, without having a noise touching the microphone. It's really important. It's really important. And here you can see, but for all this all-in-one, they're like separate downstairs. So I will come back to this. This is once again, you will see a little bit better stand than this in all-in-one package. And this is actually much more for this great microphone here that I was speaking, because this is a really heavy one. And this stand can hold this heavy one without any problem. But once again, you can find thousands of stands and see what your budget is. You can just buy it, but it's necessary to have it. Yeah? As well, like this small desk stand with a solid metal base that you can catch here the base, but not touch the microphone. Okay. The reflection filter, of course, is making like your sound much better. Especially, you can treat the room. You can, if you have not with room, which is with a lot of reverb or echo, or I don't know, this, I mean, still will not solve all the problems, but it will solve a lot if you have this thing. This thing, I don't know how much does it cost. It's not really expensive, and you can mount it on some desk stand. And this is with the mousse. I don't know how to call it in English. The sponge, and it will make your audio much better. Once again, foam mic cover over the microphone. If you have especially also kind of a cheap microphone, this will help preventing you this p, t, s, f, all these letters that are not really welcome in a show, in a radio show. Pop shield is this thing, which is also kind of helping, like the foam is helping, but a little bit better. Yeah, but it's almost the same function. There are like two, like fabric and metal pop shield. The fabric pop shields are doing the same things as the metal ones, but the metal ones are lasting for longer. Simple. And then wind muffler, I say, it's not only for this microphone, but you can find also wind mufflers for your smartphone, for other microphones, if you want to record it outside. Yeah? Because the wind is the biggest enemy. You can, small wind, one more time, we can see how we can take it out in the Reaper, in the software. But still a lot of wind, you cannot save this audio if it's a lot of wind. And if you are living in one windy country, so then you need to have like just one of that. And for any case, I mean, it's one must to have it, because like, you know, like Georgia say, you can be outside, you cannot predict the weather. You need to have a couple of these gadgets, accessories. These accessories, you can check it later on, they're not expensive. Okay, some questions here about the gadgets? No, okay. I will just say, I will not read everything here, but I will just see all these bold things for the room treatment tips, but you can do it alone in your room. First of all, in every room, there is a small echo. So the best thing to check it about the echo is to clap. And if you clap, if the clap is like stop directly, that means that the room is okay. So there will be still some small echo, but if it's like, if you clap and if you hear some strange noise, then of course you need to do some treatments to this room to block all this sound. Now, because sometimes the sound is going to the wall and it's coming back, and you don't want this to have it in your microphone, because then the sound is just crappy. So what you can do here is actually use soft materials. Like for example, you can use curtains. Yeah? If you have curtains, then a duvet, or actually a blanket. Use the blankets just to hang it. It will be not really beautiful, but nobody is seeing, everybody is listening. Then you can put some mattresses. You can use some sofa. You can use some bean bags here. Pardon. You can use some furniture. You can send some cabinets, chairs, tables. Bookshelves are helping a lot. And this, I'm sure that all of these things you have it at home. So you need to go in every room that you can record your audio. You can test it with the clap, and when you see where the clap has like the least echo, then this will be your room. So it will be like medium-sized room, because large room is also not good, and small room not really, but depends how you will treat the room. But don't forget for these things, and I will share, however, this PDF so you will see. And however, this is like just small things from the intellectual output that we are going to send to you. All these things and everything that we were talking about now, you will find it back in the intellectual output. So this booklet that we are working. But these things helps me a lot to make some greater recordings in my attic. because the attic is like 4-meter high ceiling. It's not isolated, and I put 2 blankets. I mean, it was ugly what I did, but it helps me a lot. It helped me a lot. Some questions here. I'm really going briefly because I am seeing the time and I really want to spend more time with the Reaper software with you. You have some questions? No? Okay, great. There are a lot of tips, but I choose these 2 tips for the recording, and also if you're going to do podcast or broadcast. Like Marcio, I believe that he mentioned, but reference tracks or reference Spotify's, you really need, if you are interested, if you know what kind of topic you're going to explore and to make it for your podcast, there is nothing best than listening different podcasts. And of course, you will not copy everything, but good examples are worthy copying, and just like this, you will expand your knowledge and you will know much more what to do with your podcast. So like listen different podcasts or radio shows or whatever you're wanted to go to record. Okay. And another really important thing is to check your audio on different systems. You can hear it on your smartphone, on your laptop, on your speakers, if you have the speakers, on your TV, because sometimes the recorded audio can sound totally different on other things. And then you can consider them, okay, maybe I can hear is a noise, and on the other sound it is not noise. Okay, noise is a bad example, maybe a little bit of noise, but check it out. Don't forget to check it really on everything that is possible for you to check it. Because I'm doing it on my speakers at home, on my speakers on the laptop, on my smartphone, on my TV. And it helped me a lot. Okay. Are we okay with this? Wait, I want to see all of you. Yes. Some general questions about this part, because I really wanted to close it, and then I can share the screen and go directly with the audio software. Great that I'm so clear. Does everybody install the Reaper software?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now is the moment. Wait. Okay. Where is my Reaper? I cannot see it. Just a second. Just to go again. Share Reaper. Okay. Did you split it your screen? Can you see my screen here and also your Reaper? Is that possible? Yeah, if I didn't hear anything, actually it's okay. Okay, I will try to be fast. We will learn the basics here, and after all, I will give you some small task that you can do it individually. Record yourself, make some intro, outro, and then we will come back to the session. I hope that I will finish in 20 minutes, half an hour, but we will see. So when you enter the Reaper, you're receiving this screen. And please, one more time, if it's not like it is, unmute yourself and say, hey, Sino, it's not like how you're seeing it. First thing that I will ask you is to go to View and to hide off the Docker or the mixer is the same. If you click it, this will be gone for now in order to have more place. Then the first thing that you can do is actually to insert a track. There are a couple of ways to do that, but if you just click 2 times here, you have the track. Really simple. Okay, so this track, you can name it, but we will see this later on. Just to insert media here, there are also 2 ways. You can go to insert media file, and I have some intro prepared, and you can just go open. With the plus and minus, or with a scroll, if you have a mouse, if you scroll, it's going to be zoomed out or zoomed in. Just a second, sorry. Something went wrong. Okay, so this is sometimes important if you really want to go into details to zoom it in or to zoom it out. Okay, you can just click it and drag it to be in the beginning. For example, like me, it's something strange here. Okay, I will zoom out. My excuses, it's okay, and I will just bring this intro here. Something strange is happening because I'm sharing the screen, but okay, you can just put it in the beginning. Then to put another track, it's like you just click another and another and another. It's really, really easy. You can just click and backspace to remove it. Another thing is you can come here and you see that the cursor is changing. You can just expand it so you can see much better if you want to go in details, especially for the noise. Sometimes you can just see it if it's expanded. And I will show you later on an example. But another way to insert a track is just to drag and drop it from, I don't know with the share screen if it's going to happen. For example, I will go here, just do something of that. Okay, sound effects workshop. So I have something from Donald. You can just drag it and drop it. And then it's here. Now I have some samples from Donald Trump, hilarious. But I will try to make some intro from this with some music. So then I have the intro. And actually, if you click 2 times here, you can rename it to intro. This is the voice. And then this will be my background music that I will insert it. If I go to insert media file, scratch, this is the music that I know it will be, okay. And then once again, I can open it and write outro. And with the outro will be actually the same for me, insert media file and this DJ intro. Okay, the things that you can do here, because okay, now we have 4 things. There is one trick that if you click on the right mouse on one track, you can go to track color and set tracks to one random color. Yeah, so I'm doing always for everything, because if you have 10 tracks, sometimes it's much easier to know by the color to know which. It's not necessarily this, but it's some things that I'm using it. If you go to second click, track color, set to random track. And then once again, for me, it's a random color. We'll come back like these things. We were not going to learn about everything because there are effects that you can put, but there is like another whole big chapter about the effects. I'm not going to explain this because I will share you again the sites from the Reaper website. You download from there. There are thousands of really good tutorials from the people itself. Before I forgot, you download the trial version. And it's for 60 days, but it's actually, you can use it forever. Just you need to wait for 4 seconds, and then you can close this window, and then you can use it forever. And it's okay, it's not piracy. I mean, you can use it. A lot of people we are using here with our organizations for free, and it's for free. It's great that it's for free, and you can find a lot of tutorials. Here you see 2 buttons. M is for mute. So that means that you are muting this track, and S is for solo, means that it's muting all the other tracks, and it's also playing this one. In order to go mute, you can just go solo. Okay, all right, I will start with the selection. I will go with solo with this one. I want to say, let's say that we have, with our Donald Trump. I will, can you hear? And I would say you're delinquent. Can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Really important thing, and the first things that you need to learn is to cut. For example, you want from here to here just to cut it this sound. Yeah? And what is the easiest way? You click here. If it's white, it's selected. So now it's because it's solo. Wherever you click, you see that it's becoming white. So you're sure that this is clicked. So I want this and this to have it. So I will press on letter S. So S is to split, to cut. So I cut it here. I go once again here. I will zoom it in a little bit more. It's always better to zoom. I press one more time S. So I have this like a separate. So I can just click and delete this, click and delete this. So you have this, and this will happen mostly of the time for your audio. But again, if you cut it, doesn't mean that all the file is gone, because if I come here, you see some cursor, you go left, and this is back. Our Donald Trump is back, and you can go also here, and it's back. But for example, let's say that here is something that you don't like, here is something that you don't like, and this is something that you don't like. You just, what can I do with the selection actually? There are two things. So if you go out of the track and you click and drag, you can make a selection. Maybe this is also easier. But when you make a selection to delete this part, you need to hold Command or Control and backspace. And then it's deleted. But now in this case, also the second one, but what I'm always using is I'm coming here, pressing S, coming here, pressing S. If I want also this part, I will zoom it in a little bit more. If you want this part also to be cut, I click S and I click here and it's S. So this I'm deleting it, this I'm deleting it, and this you can just drag it to the left side and you can make it happen. This is really important. Mostly of the audio editing is cutting and glue it together. So most of the thing is this. I hope that you will not really working with the noise reduction. We will see it in the end of this presentation. Not that it's really difficult, but it's saving your time, and it's always better to be aware that you need to record a good audio. And if you know all these tricks and tips from us that we were sharing with you, I'm sure that you can record really good audio. Also really important that you can see, for example, okay, I will play now this, this. I will solo this. And if I hear it now, it's just some random music, sample rap. But obviously you can see fade in and fade out. It's mostly used not for the voice if it's somebody who is speaking, but for the music to come slowly inside, it's fading in. And how you're doing on every track, if you come on the corner, you can see this icon. And if you click and drag, you have this thing. So you can go really crazy, but you can go until here, and you can see that here it's already reduced. So if I play now, it will go from here and make the volume up. This is really good and it's really used. I mean, I will make now some intro examples so you will see. But what is also interesting to know, if you come here, while you have this icon, you can click on the right mouse and you receive like different forms of how you want the sound to enter. But mostly they're used like these two. And me, honestly, I'm using only these. Depends if I'm using this one, the third one, then the sound is coming much slower. But I will stick to this one. And it's the same for fading out. You click here, zoom it here, you're coming to the end, and you see this icon, and you click and you go right. Okay? And again, you can click on the both of them and you can choose. And actually try all of them just to see what kind of effect it's doing. There is no rule. I mean, you need to see if it sounds good for yourself. Okay, so this is fading, fade out. Mostly of the times we want that sometimes the volume will go down. For example, I will now, as you can see. So now it's Donald Trump. I cannot hear Donald Trump. So I want to wait, just cut this. So I want, for example, that the audio will be here loud, and when Trump will speaking, it can go down, that you can see, that we can hear Trump speaking, and then it's going up. We can do it on two ways, but if you click on one track and you press on V, on the letter V, you receive the volume. You see? But I'm not using it really this, because imagine that on every track you press V, and here then you have like really a lot of things here going on. And if you have 7 tracks, then you will be a little bit lost. What I'm doing, and you will remember here, is just I'm clicking 2 times on the track. So if you click just 2 times, don't be afraid, you receive this window. Me personally, I don't know what is everything here, but what is important to know, you click 2 times and you go to take envelopes. And if you click take envelopes, then you can check the box volume, and looks what happened here. If I check the box volume, that this line of volume is inside the track, which is really handy. I really advise you to do for every track that you will have, to check the volume. So I will do the same here, take envelopes, volume, and that's it. Okay, so this red line is showing you the volume. Here you can go down and you can go up, of course, and you will check it out. So for example, Trump, I will make it a little bit louder, and this one I will put it a little bit down. But like I say, I want that here will be loud before Trump starts, and then that it will go down and then again up. So we need to make a key points. And what is this? If I come here, you see the cursor is changing, but if you press Control or Command, then you have another icon. Okay, and this is when I have this, I click once, I click one other time, and then in the end I click once and I click another time. You see? So now if I click this thing, and if I go down, but I will make it here when he will start talking, I will put it down, and this one I will put it as well down. So now if I check, it's still loud for me, so I will put it a little bit more down, a little bit more down here.
Like an apartment, when somebody's with me, they owe me rent.
And then if you see in the end here,
Pay.
really simple, but this is also really important for you if you want to have a background music and you want at some point, so you can do it as lot as you want key points. I can put it here, for example, here, and make it louder. But what I didn't say is, for example, just a second, I'll just go here and put another one here. And if you want these 2 key points to put it like parallel to go down, you click on one, then you hold Shift and you click on the second one. So now if I go down, both of them, they're going down. This is also good because you never know how much will be this down or up, but now there are 2 selected, it's much easier. Okay. And always, if you want, there is another shortcut which is in this PDF file, is the letter W. If you press on W, you go really from the beginning. Or this is actually this button here. Wait, go here. No selection. If I go just here on this letter, it's going like. But it's better when you have when you know the shortcut. Really important thing now, important and really simple. Of course, we are going to record ourselves, and you can use this. But before, for example, if you have a sound card or external microphone, you need to check that and to see if you're recording from your built-in microphone or your external microphone. To do that, I think you go to options, so options, and then preferences, and then you go in audio in the device. And now I don't have any other thing, but here you can choose actually your external microphone if you have one. If no, you can just leave it like default system devices. And for me, in this case, is the built-in microphone from the laptop. But it's really important if you want to be sure that you're recording with your external microphone. Options, preferences, device. To record yourself, I will just put it on solo, this. In Reaper, it's really easy. What you don't need to forget is just to check this button here. This means that now if we are going to press this button, it will record on this track. So for example, if I make 2, I can check 2 of them, and if I record, it will record on 2 of them. But that's not the case that I'm going to do now. And if I now just, it's always, I hit W, maybe it's a tick, and then I press record. And when you press record, I will zoom in. You'll see, hello, my name is Sino, and I'm not an audio expert, I'm expert in progress. And you can just stop it. This thing is coming on, you can also save it all, but for now, I will just close it, and this is staying. And if I click it, press record, and zoom in, you'll see, hello, my name is Sino, and I'm not an audio expert, I'm expert in progress. So what you can see now, I'm going to do again, 2 times click, take envelopes, volume, and actually I will put the volume a little bit up. And this left thing, I want to delete it, so I press on S, I delete this, and then I just press, see, hello, my name is Sino, and I'm not an audio expert, I'm expert in progress. But it's also important to see, right now, if I speak, it's going up, but if it's showing like red things, that means that your audio is really loud. Approximately needs to be like on -6 decibels, but now you cannot see, but it's approximately here, like two-thirds of these bars needs to be filled. I don't know if I clap, you see, sorry for the ears, but this is this red thing that is warning you that the audio is really loud. Okay. Selection, what is else that I just not to forget? I will just briefly delete the 4th one. I will delete it. Sorry for that. Yes. And we are going to try to make, so you will just see me again what I will do. Then you can do this with your by yourself. So this is what I have here. Just like one intro that I found. I can see again, this is really loud. I will take envelopes, volume, I forgot for this track. I will just go down, W.
This is a journey into sound. The fattest, funkiest tunes in town.
Yeah, so I will go until here. So also you can press on S and delete this thing, or you can just come here and just go left until the cursor. Okay. And I would like always, I'm giving fade in. So I will just hear it how it's sounding.
This is a journey into sound.
Okay. So this is, I'm happy with this. I mean, this is really an example. And then I will just hear this thing because I think that from here I want. So I will use it from here and I will not split it. I will just come here. And this I will put it below this thing. So you will see if you go, you can come here and there is snapping grid. If I zoom in, it's always snapping. But imagine sometimes you need to put the audio here. So you can just uncheck this magnet, and I'm doing this always actually, and you can just move the things really wherever you want. It's not snapping on every line. But okay, in this case, I would like to snap. And then when the rap will start, I want that Trump will start to speak as well. Just to check Trump once again to know. I will solve this.
Like an apartment, when somebody's with me, they owe me rent. I say.
Okay, so it's from the beginning. So what I did now is actually I want to do the same thing. Here when he is starting to speak, I will make the volume a little bit down. So just to check.
This is a journey into sound. Journey into sound. Like an apartment.
And for example, I want that he will start to speak really when this kick is coming. And the kick is here, I can see. So I will just move him a little bit. And now in this case, I will take out this magnet and I will try to make it here. So.
Like an apartment when somebody's.
And again, with the control, I'm coming here, control 2 times here. 2 times when he is finishing. I check this key point, check again this point with shift, and I'm going down. And I will check.
Like an apartment when somebody's. Yeah. Why should they?
And then I'm going to the end.
Why should they pay?
Okay, it can finish here. But then I want that the same intro will be for me. So I can just go Control C or Control or Command C. I can come here and then Command V. So you can just copy it. Another shortcut for that is if you click on the intro, you're holding it Alt or Option, and you just click. Oh no, sorry, that was another problem. It's Control C. You come here, Control V, and then I want that the intro outro will finish here. Maybe I will check. Okay, so I didn't do really like precise job here, but you're getting it. Eh? So it's like fade in for the intro. Then you can check when you want to start the other track, background music if you want, or your voice, and then the outro. So one more time, and I'm checking it. It's always good to check it with the headphones as well. Really important. So now it's a little bit further. Okay. Okay, and then I go again. Yeah. So what is really important for the podcast, especially, is you need to have intro and outro. It's possible to be the same intro and outro. Some background music if you want. It's not necessarily, of course. And then your voice. So actually 3 or 4 tracks if you can put this outro actually down here. So more or less you need 4 if you're using a music background. You don't need more. But you can also always make tracks as much as you want. Maybe sometimes you want some effects, some sound effect to put it, and so on and so on. It's 15 to 7. Do you have questions here? Because this is like really basics things that we can record ourselves. Put some intro from this sound pack and outro, and maybe you can choose for some music. And I want from you to see the fade in, fade out, and these key points, which are really with these things, you can go further. And of course, you can learn a lot of this program. I'm sure that I don't know 100% of this program, but this is more or less things that I'm using it here in the studio, and I'm teaching it the youngsters how to use it. And it's not really, really difficult. Maybe it's new interface for you, but I hope it was easy to follow me. I will stop now for a while to share the screen so I can see you. And we have not a lot of time, but maybe we can give this like a homework. Do you have some questions now with these basic things? I can share again this PDF just to show you what I write it here. For sure I forgot something. So you can drag your files directly to Reaper, check out the Docker to get more place. You can expand the audio track so you can see also if there is some noise. Change the color on the track, right mouse on the track, name the track. Mute, M is for mute, S is for solo. Shortcuts, really important. Cut, W is starting. G is for grouping sounds. Okay, didn't went there. There's actually a couple of tracks, you can group it and you can go left and right together with them. But okay, for now it's not really important. Space is to begin, but when you click again on space, it's coming back from the same place that it began. And enter is pause or break. V is for volume that I say. Really important that I'm using always double click on the track for take envelopes and check the volume. And for noise reduction, actually, I will, yeah, this I forgot. This is really important, so I will show you this. But Igor, wait,
yes, you know.
I think that now I will explain about the noise reduction, and then I will see if you have questions, and I will give you the homework, because otherwise we will be half an hour more busy, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I also think a lot of information we have shared today in Tamara's session as well, in this session as well. So many technical things. I think it's very hard to comprehend. I'm also not an expert in this, so I'm also trying to also download this Reaper and so on, but it's very hard to follow. So yes, I agree. Maybe, easily to wrap up on this, but of course it's up to you.
Yeah, of course we will do like this. And my apologies one more time, because I never did this online. And
but it was very informative. No, it was very good, especially for beginners in this, as I need to admit I'm super beginner in this editing sound. So for me it was very, explanatory. So thank you.
Good. So one more time I will share our dear Reaper. Let's share. I will go and open I prepared myself with remove noise. No, don't save Trump. I have two things. So you can see here, this is without noise. So I will mute it, and this is with noise. If I click.
Hi, I'm Pete from the Gaming Careers YouTube channel. Why not subscribe? Hi, I'm Pete from the.
So you see, for example, what can I do also? I can select it like this. I will go, I didn't explain, I forgot this button here is to loop. To loop your things. So if I press now on space, can you hear the noise? So then this is with the noise, but if I mute this, I will just remove the selection, my excuses, sorry. And then unmute this, you can hear the same.
Hi, I'm Pete from the Gaming Careers YouTube channel. Why not subscribe? Hi.
So you see, this is how I did this. I will explain you now in the moment. I will unmute. And what I was saying about this expansion. So you see, if it's like this, you don't see anything here. Of course, you can hear it. But if I expand it, you see that this is the noise. And yeah, really important tip I didn't say. Wherever you're starting to record yourself, every room has kind of a noise. Either it will be from your laptop or some ventilator or from I don't know what. You have noise in the room. That's why try like 5 or 10 seconds to turn on the microphone to record, and after that to start to speak. So you can capture that noise. And why is that important? Because we needed to capture the noise in order to remove it. So I will just select here. So it's like just on the mouse I'm clicking. Click and select the noise. Here you can make it bigger or. And now we are going to go with the effects. Don't be afraid, there are a lot of effects here, but we are going to search, and I think it's written, if it's not in the PDF, I will send it to you, to Kukos, I don't know how you read this, and then this is this one. Reaffirm, you don't need to remember it, you just say Kokos. You click 2 times, and this is the thing when the magic is happening. What you need to, wait, I will just wait for here, to remember is that we are going to subtract the noise. And here you can choose subtract. If you subtract, then it's coming one checkbox. Really important also to click this checkbox, and then you're pressing on space to play. And if I play it, you can see now it's recording the noise. This is the noise. Yeah? And then again, space to stop. And also really important, then you uncheck the thing and you can close it. And if I go now, if I click now, you see there is no noise. It's a magic. This is really good. And then if I go remove selection, begin.
Hi, I'm Pete from the Gaming Careers YouTube channel. Why not subscribe? Hi.
So once again, I will also make it so you select this, you go to effects, you choose this effect, I will go remove. You choose the effect, cocos, and this one, voila, subtract, automatically play, okay, and you're recording it, and that's it. Uncheck, close, and you're good to go.
Hi, I'm Pete from the Gaming Careers YouTube channel. Why not subscribe?
Perfect. All right, guys, sorry. But this is really important because there is a lot of noise always. You need to record the first 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And just to repeat this step, I can record it, or if you type removing noise on YouTube for Reaper, you can find it, thousands of videos. But I wanted to share it just to see how fast it is to remove the whole noise from one recorded audio. Questions? Yes, please, Shukran.
I wanted to ask, can the voice from the background be removed? I mean, while speaking and there's a noise in the background.
Noise, yeah, of course. So that's why, for example, if you have this noise, you capture it and then it's removing all the noise. But for example, it's some ambulant car is coming, or some car or plane or these things, it's difficult. I mean, you can try, but then if you're capturing this noise, it's together with the voiceover, so it's not really good. That's why I say that it's really important where we are recording, that you have kind of a studio with these treatments of the room. For example, a cell phone, you cannot really remove it. There is possibility, but it will never sound like this kind of noise that I just remove it. This kind of noise can be also a little bit louder, and you can remove it, but something really loud, it's not really possible. But if you have some audio recordings with some noise, please send it to me. I will try to do the magic and I will explain if it's possible. And it's also discount for everybody. I will share in the end now my email, so you can also come with all of your questions and all your requests. It can be general question or specific question, please. I would really like to share with you. Some other questions? Great. So
I have another.
Yes, please.
Sorry. I mean, can this application be used for removing like the sound in the song to make a karaoke?
Actually, I will tell you now, honestly, there is Adobe Audition that I'm working more. Adobe Audition, it's paid program, Adobe. And there it is possible to remove voice from a song. But I will ask now Lorin if he has experience with Reaper and removing voice from a song.
No, I've not really done that kind of stuff. No, sorry.
So not karaoke guy, no. Shukrane, honestly, with Reaper, I don't know. I will check it out and I will let you know for sure. Yeah? And also I will try an audition, so you can send to me. Wait, I will just write my email now so I will not forget. Sino@art-of-the-box. Okay, everyone, it's correct. It is correct. But what I want to say for a homework, what you need to do, it is like, I remember that we were presenting to Tamara ourselves, but some of here, they missed this session. So I would like to have an intro. So you find your jingle, your intro. Then you say, hello, my name is Sino, and I'm here to tell you about my editing skills. And then the outro is coming, and I want also some background music while you're speaking. And is it clear for that? So we'll just say also whatever you want, but shortly, if you don't have an inspiration, just say that, hello, my name is and I was going to speak about this and this with you. And then the outro is coming, fade in, fade out, and so on and so on. And then we will, maybe Monday in the beginning, you can share, not necessarily, or you can send it to me if you want to ask if it's okay or not. But I will be happy if you will do this. I'm sure it is interesting for those who are beginners, for sure, because it's not really difficult, but if you repeat it, you will just know it. Questions about the homework?
All clear?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sino, so much for this session. As I said, it was very informative with a lot of details, a lot of stuff, especially for the beginners to understand the tool, to understand the importance of sound editing, these small tricks, tips you shared with us. And for sure, I think it's going to be some more questions. I think at least I need a little time to digest, and then maybe to come up with some questions and so on. So I also want to share, I mean, this also with all of you guys, if you have something to add, to ask. As Shukran, thank you, Shukran, for asking the question. They were great questions, really. I also was asking about this background noise and so on, as I'm completely amateur in this. So I think it's the questions were very good. So please, if you have any questions, you can either approach to Sino directly through his email that he shared with all of us here, or also on some sessions tomorrow. And particularly on Monday, Sino is going to be back with us. On Monday, maybe always we can have some 15 minutes for feedback, for always if there is a need, always we can readjust our sessions and see, and to provide this kind of really tailor-made support, not just delivering the sessions, but also to refer on your needs. So please, if you have something, some small things, some small questions, or if something wasn't clear enough, please let us know, and we will try to find a space for covering this again, or to put it in another words, using another maybe approach in order to make all the things clear. Okay. Yes, of course.
I just shared this PDF that I was presenting to you with all this equipment and tips and shortcuts from Reaper, so you can please feel free to download it.
Great. And also Tamara's presentation will be sent to you as well. So any questions? Shukran, I am looking at you.
No, I'm finished.
Yeah, nothing at this stage. Okay, anyone else, guys? Before I'm gonna launch this section poll as we usually do. So while we are discussing this, Sino, also if you have something to add on technical aspect, on regarding project-wise, anything you consider important?
No, I'm finished. I'm done.
Thank you so much for this. Also, yeah, tomorrow we'll have the same two sessions, the sessions as today in the same time slot, so 4 p.m. Brussels time. In the first session, we're going to speak about digital skills and production skills as well. So you also will have some time to try out something. And in the later stage, we will have our friends from UK doing presentation skills. So Tamara has covered something today, but I think also it's always a good space for improvement in this. So thank you for voting and sharing the results. So yeah, satisfied people most or less very, very satisfied with this. So once again, thank you, Sino. I will pass your satisfaction also to Tamara. And thank you, guys. Have a nice evening. So after all, we finished as exactly as we planned to. So thank you once again, and see you soon. See you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Ciao.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Bye.